Book one is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a digital transformation specialist and CEO of Victoria Floyd Consulting, no other than Mr. Tory Bjorklund.
Hey, Daniel. Great to join you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Tory, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I've been in the industry of consulting and also manufacturing since 1987. I started my first consulting company, and I've been kind of a serial entrepreneur since that time, and been involved in a couple of hundred implementations of significant technology initiatives.
Yes. And Mr. Tory Bjorklund. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about the digital transformation, failure, and success. We often hear 70% of digital transformation fail. What are the most overlooked or surprising root causes of failure that go beyond typical explanations like poor change management?
Sure. The most common reason for failure that people don't really want to admit is the lack of leadership and the lack of vision in these significant initiatives. They're usually complicated initiatives, and people get burned out. People get kind of lose sight of what they're trying to accomplish. The scope continues to expand because of lack of leadership and lack of vision. And then also there's oftentimes a lack of preparation. People don't realize how much work it's going to take, and they haven't done the correct preparation to actually be able to finish what they started.
How does a poorly defined or overlay technology focused vision sabotage initiatives from the start?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that happens with the lack of vision is that people have differing ideas of what should be done and what needs to be built, and those competing visions end up creating a what we call scope creep. Keep adding more and more and more to the initiative so that it never gets done rather than being focused on specific outcomes. The other thing is that people tend to look at this as a technology initiative rather than a business initiative with specific business objectives. So when you think about it as a technology initiative, just simply getting the technology to work starts becoming the definition of success rather than actually making the company more profitable or scaling the company or whatever the other business objectives were initially. You lose those objectives for lack of vision and just adopt the idea of getting the technology to go live.
Why is organizational culture frequently a bigger barrier to success than actual technology implementation?
Yeah, so oftentimes the organization may have uh, maybe stuck sort of in the way that they've always done it. Well, this is how we've always done this. And so to actually implement significant change in the organization becomes difficult. It's difficult for people to adopt. They don't see the point of the change oftentimes. And then, so the technology even doesn't get used. In fact, I'll give you an example. This was, of course, many years ago actually in the late 80s. Um, I had a client that was going, they were an engineering company, and they were going from drafting on drafting paper to a CAD system. Major transformation, right? Nowadays, we don't even think about what it takes to draft on paper because it's not done anymore. But at the time, they actually became less efficient going to a CAD system than they were on paper because they were drafting in exactly the same way on the computer as they did on paper. They used the same process, and they didn't, by not changing that process, they didn't take advantage of the tools that the computer provided to them. And so that mentality or that culture that resists change became the impediment for improving. Even though they had implemented the technology, they didn't actually improve their efficiency.
Mr. Tory, you publishing a book regarding our topic for today. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. Yeah. So the book is titled The Digital Transformation Guidebook: Equipping Senior Leadership to Succeed in Their Digital Transformation Journey. And it's targeted to senior leadership of mid-market companies, say companies somewhere between, say, 200 million to 2 billion in revenues. Companies of that size uh, often experience the uh, most difficulty because they don't have a lot of the expertise in the company that has done a lot of these kinds of transformative initiatives. And so it really takes leadership at the executive level in these mid-tier companies. And so I decided that we need to have a book that tells non-technical leadership, executive leadership, how to lead in digital transformation projects.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Tory. Why only senior? Why not overall? All kinds of people want to involve with this kind of book.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Oftentimes, the people that are at, say, at the director level, for example, they understand that there is something needed, but they don't have the necessary uh, authority in the company to bring the vision for change. And it really needs to come from the top, the vision for the change. Now, the top level leadership are not actually performing the change. That's at the director level and below. But the people that have the authority to make the kind of decisions necessary to succeed with a process, a project like this, really needs to be at the executive level.
And what are your struggles in writing this book, Mr. Tory?
The probably the biggest struggle that I had personally was not getting in the weeds. The, as a person who is a practitioner of digital transformation, I kept wanting to talk about too much detail that people at the executive level don't really need to know. I kept kind of inserting it because I thought it would make the case for them to, know the things that I was trying to instruct them on, but it really makes it less readable. So that was a real struggle for me. I'm still in the process because it hasn't been completed. It hasn't been published yet. I've submitted my initial draft now to the publisher, but I continue to see things that I can take out that's not important for the target audience. So
Hmm.
that's probably my biggest challenge.
Indeed. And Mr. Tory, why must change management and continuous communication be the central thread, not the afterthought woven into every phase?
Yeah, great question. So oftentimes people talk about organizational change management, for example, as being important, but they kind of give lip service to it, and there's not a lot of thought put into that. And it really comes down to what we were talking about earlier. The organizational change management is really a way of dealing with the current culture in the business that can either help make the change, or else the current culture might resist the change. And change management is a way of helping to manage that organizational culture in a way that affects the change, that supports the change. and understanding what that culture is, where the risks lie, who the change agents are, what is the fears, for example, that need to be addressed, what is the messaging that needs to be addressed. These are all very important aspects for getting the change adopted within the organization that goes along with these technology initiatives. And then actually there's another area of that, and I break down significant technology initiatives into three areas: the preparation, then the execution. And the execution is what most people think of as these kinds of projects. But then the sustaining of those changes in the organization is an important part of it. And that's really where you take this as the new way to actually making it part of our DNA in the organization. This is how we do it now. It's part of our DNA. It doesn't feel like change anymore. It feels like really a part of the company and the culture, and it's been adopted at that level. So that's another area after go live, is really that continued thread of change management that comes in the uh, after going live, that includes things like ensuring that people are actually following the new process, actually listening to people about what they don't like about the new process, and maybe even fixing that. So additional small tweaks, so to speak, to make things more efficient and better. Those kinds of initiatives, and we break it into measure, monitor, and maintain. Um, that's part of that change management that has to be that thread all the way through the initiative.
Yes, indeed. Did you talk about that in your upcoming book?
I
That
do,
topic.
yes. In fact, I've broken the book into those three sections of preparation and then execution, which is, a lot of people think it's executing these projects is difficult. My opinion is the execution is actually the easier part. The preparation and the sustain are the two areas that are actually most difficult and require the most leadership and the most thought.
Mr. Tory, what strategies effectively build genuine buy in and excitement across all levels of organizations, turning resistors into champions?
I think one of the primary strategies is to help people understand how it's going to benefit them personally. A lot of the fear that's associated with change is that people are comfortable doing what they're doing now. And particularly, oftentimes it's the people who are experts. They're the go-to person in the current environment and the current culture, and they begin to become concerned that they're going to lose that position, so to speak, that level of respect as the go-to person in the organization if there's a lot of change. And so it's really helping them understand what their role is going to be and how they're going to succeed within the new environment that's created from that change. And I think that's probably the primary strategy. A lot of companies focus on the training and that sort of a thing, which is important, but training somebody how to do something in a new way does not help provide the motivation that they need to go through the effort to learn the new way and to adopt the new way and to make it their way. But helping them see why it's important for the company and what is the personal benefit to them from these changes is really probably the primary strategy that helps people to adopt it rather than resist that change.
Mr. Tory, as a digital transformation specialist and CEO of Victoria Fight Consulting, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, my short-term goal is to get my book finished, to get that out into the hands of the public. My long-term goal is to change the industry. You cited some of the statistics. People are familiar with the 70% number. I've seen higher numbers than that, depending on whose statistics you take on the failure of digital transformation, I would like to see that number going down. And seeing that number going down is going to take a different approach to how we transform companies through technology. And I want to be on the front end of that and actually impact the the culture of digital transformation and the business culture and its adoption of technology.
Adoption of technology, indeed, just like what? AI, people. And
Yes.
looking forward for more success, Mr. Tory, and good luck to your goals. And what will your piece of advice for those people out there want to be, of course, like you?
I think my advice would be to uh, not adopt a position of fear, but a position of curiosity, particularly with new technology. I've been around a while. Obviously, if I started a business in '87, I've been around a while, and people my age have kind of a sometimes a little bit of a fear of the new technology. And I would say adopt an attitude of curiosity and how can I enable this technology to benefit myself personally, my objectives, the business I'm running, and other areas of my life.
Thank you for your advice, Mr. Tory. And can you please recommend a book that influenced your journey?
Yeah, so several books by a person here, Steve McConnell. Probably there was one that influenced me the most, which was a long time ago, called the Software Projects Survival Guide, where he introduced to me a lot of the uh, principles upon which I built my career in helping people adopt change through technology. So, Steve McConnell's Software Project Survival Guide.
Yes, people, please read that book. It will empower you. Mr. Tory highly recommended it.
Yeah.
And why strategies effectively build genuine buy-in and excitement across all levels of organization, making it difficult to others to be example for the other companies.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure that I understood what the question was on that.
So, Mr. Tori, so what are the strategies effectively created by the other companies that they are not giving to others so that
I
it
see.
will be a framework for them to be successful?
Yeah. The principles that um, help companies be successful that are not well known right now at this point, I think, really as the principle of, uh, I like to refer to it as VIM, which is Latin for life, but vision, intention, and method. We focus a lot in the business world on methods, but it's really vision that drives everything. So, really focusing on the strategy of creating a vision that people will catch within the organization that will bring about transformation, and the methods will come. So
Yes, the method of come, people. And Mr. Tori, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Tory, if you had to isolate one non-negotiable element that dramatically increase the odds of digital transformation success, what would it be?
I would say very clear communication of the vision for what the company will look like after the change. So, not just we need to change, but here's what change looks like, and here's why we need to do that, and here's what things will look like in your world after the change has been successfully completed. I think that's the number one thing is vision and leadership.
Definitely. And Mr. Tory, if you give five adjectives of your upcoming book, what are they?
Would say practical, uh, to the point. That's, I guess, not a single word, but you can probably come up with a word for that.
Okay.
Um,
Four more.
yeah, I would say experienced. It's based on experience. I would say readable. I really worked hard to try to make it readable. And one more, um, valuable. I want it to be
Valuable.
worth the time spent.
Valuable people. Yes, Mr. Tory Bjorklund. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your upcoming books, your advocacy, your business, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Have people would just like more information about my business and my book and myself, it's on victoriafied.com. And that would be probably the best place to go to see what I'm all about.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Tory Bjorklund because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering business to come, and for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Tory, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed being part of this.
More to come, people. See you soon.